Hey guys, we're the Hard Time Strongman podcast, training up a better class of man. And today we are adjusting fire. But first, huge shout out to our patrons, Sven, Brandon, Ethan. Thank y'all. Y'all help us keep the lights on. Listen more at the end of the show for your post show.
Like you said, today we are talking adjusting fire. Unfortunately, or fortunately rather, depends on how you look at it. We're not doing it in the way that you think we're going to be doing this. Basically, guys, we going into the 2025 year of operations here at Hard Time Strongman Podcast, we actually went and looked back at honestly our operational tempo for the last 3 years. It's been insane. No other podcast out there that I know of puts out episodes like this on a weekly basis. And
For the
it's
last
gotten to the point of
141 episodes.
141 episodes. So thank y'all for being here for it. I gotta tell you, we're both exhausted. So not only that, but we are actually planning on increasing the quality of the product that we're putting out in our episodes, and not just our episodes, but also the book, the guides, everything that we are planning on putting out. We're just devoting a little more time to that. So what we're going to end up doing here is pulling back our operational tempo so that we can actually produce a better product for y'all. What we're going to do is going from releasing episode every week to releasing one every 2 to 4 weeks based on the amount of time that we need to research a topic, create the show notes, edit the episodes, and create a detailed guide for each episode. So when we're talking detailed guide, um, why don't you explain that a little bit better for them?
Yeah, so as time went on, we got better about putting out our weekly patron cuts. So, you know, episodes with our pre-show, our post-show, patron snippets in the middle of the episodes. And then we started putting in our show notes and making that into a file that is first available for patrons and then it's available to the public. That's not what we're talking about. When we talk about a guide, we talk about bringing y'all the information in a different medium, a whole other format. So not quite death by PowerPoint, but if we talk about, for example, range estimation, okay, so I can talk to you about the 100-meter method. How, say, hey, if you see a barn out in the distance, imagine how many football fields you can put between you and that barn, and that's a good, guesstimation of how far away you are. It's one for me to say that, but we are missing a whole cut of the pie of our audience who are not audio, type processors, who can't just listen to somebody explain something and then they got it. So we're missing so many people with all this information. So the hope with these guys is that we can give you guys images, text references, we can give you case studies, other things that you guys can look into, that when you are listening to this episode, you can be reading the show notes. You can go on to and open the guides and you can see, okay, this is the concept that he's talking about in practice. This is what it means, talking about camouflage. This is what it means with layering clothing, or, oh, this is what that shelter actually looks like. This is what that fire lay looks like. And it's a more immersive experience. Now, of course, this is for our Patreon, or our patrons rather, but the idea, especially with pulling back the tempo, we are running on pure heart pretty much for the past 3 years. For 141 episodes, our passion has been what's been driving us, and putting out this tempo, putting out an episode every single week, and we've continued to say, "Oh my gosh, guys, wait for the guys. Oh my gosh, guys, wait for the," and we have not been doing our due diligence to get those done for you. So, with pulling back our operational tempo, with pulling back the the duration, the schedule that we're putting out these episodes, we can focus on these different things. We can give you the full picture. And that allows us to work on, like you said, things like the book, where we can actually dedicate time to getting things done for you. At the heart of it, Hard Time Strong Man has always been about education. And the thing is, with how quickly we've been putting out episodes, we've been putting out a lot of information, but we can do that better. We've put out a high standard. Our audio quality is good. The information that we put out is, vetted. We put out the sources. We have uh, friends in the audience, friends on our Discord, on our Patreon, who check us and say, hey, y'all need to look into this, or you can do this better. And we try to give you the very best information, the very best product we can, but we can do better.
Yeah, and we're going to. We are actually pledging to go back to um, looking through some, or not even some, but all of the past 141 episodes to see what we can actually go back and essentially remaster. Take exactly the information that we put out and put and do what we actually wanted to do from the beginning. Because sometimes some of these episodes we put them out, and later on we're listening through them and we're going, "Oh, we should have talked about this, or we should have said this instead, or hey, we were a little bit off on that. Maybe we should re-record. It might take a little bit too much time. We've got other stuff going on, you
Well,
know."
and
Episodes.
putting out a framework, a curriculum, right? So
Yes,
we've tried we tried to follow a general outline. Guys, we're not diagnosed, but we're pretty sure. Okay, so this remastering, this step back
touched
gives
with
us
autism.
gives us an opportunity to say, hey, you know, we stand by our past episodes, but this is our remaster, this is our better version. This follows the plan, this follows the curriculum. And we're once again talking about our Hard Time Strawman skill tree, our tree, you know, uh, metaphor, our curriculum. So starting at the roots of being mentally tough, physically strong, morally straight, moving on to the trunk of that fieldcraft, because fieldcraft is living and operating in the field. Everything branches off of that into our martial tasks, our medical, our homesteading, right? And then once we get you guys that foundational stuff, then we can branch out further. And I'm even thinking about putting a nice little, graphic on each of those guys as we build them so that you guys can lay this out, on your desk or on your wall, and you can say, okay, yes, this is the full picture. This is what we're trying to do here. But moving, taking a step back, getting our focus reset, getting our left and rights down, and then really focusing hard and hitting these hard is going to give us an opportunity where we can do the very best to encompass these skills in these episodes. So you guys will have a steady flow of not just episodes, but downloadable guides that if you're on the Patreon and you download them, it's yours forever, right? Share with a buddy, whatever, put it out there. But also in the background, because aren't going to give a hard set time on putting out these episodes because we don't want to limit ourselves to, okay, maybe we can only we have to limit this to 20, 40 minutes, an hour. If it takes longer, it takes longer. If it takes a couple weeks, it takes a couple weeks. If it takes a month, it takes a month. But we're going to get you guys the very, very best content that we can so that you can have a good warm and fuzzy on all these skills, on all these tasks, because it's always been about education. And the fact is that we want a higher standard for that.
Absolutely. And like you said, our main focus has always been about education. Like we want you to be able to take the information that we're giving you and go out and use it in the operational environment, which means your life may depend on this. So our goal is to give you the best information possible to be able to survive whatever situation it is. So that's what we're going to do.
1,000%. All right.
And in the meantime,
I feel like that's a good stopping place. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on with that?
yeah, I was gonna say, just on top of that, we're still planning on doing Patreon exclusive episodes. We're still planning on doing datasodes. These are all these have all been great, like I guess foundations in the hard time strongman community. Not necessarily the Patreon exclusive episodes because we're kind of just starting those up, but the datasodes themselves have always been pretty high on my list of things that I've really enjoyed about this podcast. So
Oh,
including
absolutely.
those from time to time is going to be really fun to bring back those dad jokes. I love those.
Yeah. I mean, what's not to like?
Exactly. Exactly. So we again, you know, from the bottom of our hearts, we're sorry for pulling back the operational tempo, but trust me when I say it, it's necessary.
Yeah. Well, to do what we want, how we want to do it, I feel like it's going to be, yeah, absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the 75th Ranger Regiment did not operate on such a high tempo. Just gonna say that.
I don't think they had a podcast either. Guys,
Mm.
that is our plan for coming back. That being said, we are going on a type of hiatus, a type of sabbatical, to where we can focus on our families, focus on the podcast, the business, get some things behind the scenes done and set so that when we pick back up, we can, get started on the right foot, hit the ground running, and we can really start investing in this so that you guys can, start investing in us as well. So we are
Here
going
to
to
be.
release this episode on Sunday, February 9th. And what would you say? Back March 9th?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah. And you guys can expect us on March 9th. Check in on the Discord, on the Patreon, on the Instagram, all our socials. We will have more information to follow.
We'll still be here. We're still available.
Yep, you can always reach out to us, but we will hold off on putting out any new episodes until we are good and ready. So
Yeah.
we will see you
We're
guys in a month.
we're we are here to make HTSM great again.
2025. Guys, we are the Hard Time Strong Men podcast, training up a better class of man now and forever. Sven, Brandon, Ethan, stick around for the post show. Thank you for listening, guys. Stay in the fight.
Stay in the fight. Check out our Discord where we talk about all of the topics that we talk about in our conversations, but in deep dive format. We have a lot of members on there of varying skill sets, of varying proficiencies, all talking about all these topics, sharing their experiences. So join today and help us expand our knowledge base.
And check out our Patreon. Our Patreon, outside of just backing up all of our episodes for when we eventually get canceled, our patrons get access to our exclusive episodes, our pre-shows, our post-shows, our little tidbits here and there that we aren't really supposed to talk about. We're also opening up all of these exclusive episodes for people to individually purchase. So you don't have to get tied into a tier in order to get all that content. You can dip your toes in a little bit, decide you like it, then come and join us on that. We're having exclusive conversations, and along with the Discord, we are just building that community, building that skill set, that mastery, these proficiencies. And this, outside of our sponsor, is what's keeping the lights on and keeping all of this information, all these classes rolling for you guys. So make sure to check out our Patreon. And one last thing, guys, the world is better with you in it. If you're feeling suicidal or if you're in crisis, dial 988 or reach out at 988lifeline.org to get help. Someone's always on the line. So if you need a lifeline, remember 988. Stay in the fight.
Stay the fight.